You're listening to For Better and Worse with Jess and Rach.
We embrace the foop.
Well, I mean, we embrace the foop. That's our intro line.
I was going to come up with something a little more clever, but that's all I have for now.
Well, I mean, that does tie into one of my tidbits.
Go off,
One of my
sis.
intro tidbits.
Let's just jump right in, Rach.
We can jump right into the tidbits. We don't need any sugar coating. I bought up a size in jeans. I just did it.
Girl. Good for you.
I just did it. It was really hard for me because I was getting frustrated with the way that the jeans were fitting.
And that's the key, is what I've heard.
Because they were fitting kind of around the waist, but they just weren't fitting my legs, and it was really causing me grief. And I think all women can relate to this. It's like there's just this gene number that you don't want to get to, because why? Fat phobia. Because
Right.
I think of this number in my head and I was like, I don't look like those people.
Here's the thing. We're
What's
getting
the fun-
older. Are we meant to be in the same size for the rest of our lives? Are we
Right.
going to keep holding on to that?
No,
No, you're getting older. Your body's growing still. It's changing.
I know.
Welcome it.
And granted, I now have to wear belts because they are too big in my waist. But weirdly,
But don't-
in the fupa zone, tight. But in the back, we can fit a small baseball team. But, you know,
But we love a good belt moment.
yeah,
Because that just
wrong with
really shows off the waist,
nothing wrong with
the
it.
slim thickness of your body.
And here's the thing, guys. When you just put on clothes that fit, you are not thinking about your clothes. You're not thinking that you're uncomfortable. You're not like constantly aware. And if it really bothers you that much, just rip the size out of your pants. If it
Yeah.
really is that disturbing to you.
Yeah, I've heard this trick of just like wear clothes you're comfortable in. Like
Yeah.
if it's not jeans, fuck jeans.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I stopped wearing jeans for a while. Did I gain a few pounds? Sure, whatever. But
Yeah.
I just
the
feel
issue
like
has come with the new way of jeans, which is the 90s way of jeans.
the baggy bags.
Which, yeah, it's just like they haven't given enough stretch. So, like, it's just like my...
Have you tried Abercrombie?
No. God, no.
A tip of the dick for you on this is Abercrombie is back and better than ever. It really is.
Really?
100%, especially for my curvy girls. They have a curve line, and it's fucking great. The denim is stretchy. It's good. The tops are flattering. It's honestly, I'm raving about it. I'm here to
Okay.
say, check it out.
And they have a curvy line?
Yes.
We'd never think we'd see that. In early 2000s? As an early 2000s
It's called
youth?
growth. It's called growth. 2021, a year of growth. Didn't we call it?
I literally just never went in Abercrombie because I was just like, I couldn't fit.
Me
I couldn't
either.
fit in clothes. So it was like, I'm going to go to the Gap. See you girls later.
It was my friends wearing Abercrombie kids for me. Because you couldn't, I wanted to be that so bad. I wanted to wear two polos, both pop collars. I get it, but I was in the adult section since time.
I was Aeropostale brand with the two polos with the pop collar.
You were not.
I was.
That's like way trash.
Pink and green. Pink and green was my go-to colors.
Rach. But you were not an Aeropostale girl. You know that's lightweight trash.
I mean, that's what I wore. I think it was because
No
I couldn't
shade.
fit into Abercrombie. I think that was the thing.
Okay.
Also,
I'm sorry about your trauma. From
I'm sorry. I
Abercrombie,
went
but they're
hella
coming back.
wild for Aeropostale. You telling me you didn't?
And step foot.
Oh my God.
Hate to say I'm too bougie for it, but
I don't know. I'm 3 years younger than you. And in those days, those 3 years could have made all the difference.
it could have. That's a good point.
I mean,
I mean, we both were around for the double pop collar, so.
Yeah, we were both around. And it was just double everything. Like, it'd be 90 degrees in your, like, barely air-conditioned school. And you'd wear 2 T-shirts to cuff the sleeves. So you'd have...
Never would I ever be layering 2 thick
Oh my
shirts
God.
over. Obviously, you were trying to make yourself look thinner. We're going to just bulk up.
Yes!
And the ruffled skirts.
Oh, and the long tank.
Pull the tank down to your knees. And if it doesn't touch your knees, it's not long enough.
What honestly...
Ew. And it had like shitty lace. I mean, not quality lace.
Yes. But this is what I can't get my mind, like what I really struggle with is like that was horrible. But in some twisted way, my mind was like, this will make my body look better. But now
We didn't
I'm
know.
like,
we also
I'm plus size. Crop top it. Crop top it. We're gonna hit it so we don't accentuate.
we knew nothing. We also lived in a time where contour didn't exist, where we just caked on fucking bronzer all over your face. Didn't matter where, up to the cheekbone,
I
all the
know.
way up to the bottom of the jaw.
I really never got into makeup, and I stand by this. I still, whenever I put on like a full face of makeup, I don't know if there are any beauty people that know what to do. It just like crusts off of me. I'll put on the primers, I put on the things, and then this. But if I try to seal it with powder, which in fucking COVID times, you know, you need to do with masks, it just would completely just, you know what I mean? Like Sahara Desert, like just flaky, gross.
Yeah, that's about just switching your makeup up. But we all
I've
aren't
tried so
blessed
much.
with the Rocher skin, okay? So Reach doesn't need makeup.
Yes. Okay.
Barely.
We do cover up. We do like what is it? Concealer.
Yeah.
And I just bring it to my nose and my eyes and kind of patter it out.
Patter it out.
Patter it out. And then blush. Highlight. Do the brows. The brows are important. The brows.
Also, we lived in a time where brows, the thinner, the better. Can we
Yeah.
talk about that for a second? What did we do? We ruined our brows. And now
Yeah.
we pay $500 plus to get them
Back.
tattooed on.
Yeah.
Which is a good investment, by the way. You should do.
Have you had to get yours touched up since you did it?
No, I need to, though.
Okay.
But once a year. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
bad. And it's not as expensive as it was the first time.
Yeah.
But it's
But
worth
see,
it.
this is how I think I was the fat girl in a long-term relationship. So it was like, although I was insecure and felt like ugh a lot of time around my friends, I was never trying to impress anyone. So it's like I wasn't going to tweeze my eyebrows off. That was never anything that I was going to do. I do remember like tweezing above my eyebrow, which now is like, whoa. But I really wasn't dedicated enough to the cause. I never would wake up early to curl my hair. I just...
You want to know dedication to the cause? I took a razor to that motherfucker. I had a heavy unibrow. Shout out to my Italian ancestors. And I took it, tried to get the unibrow off, but I went a little too far over. And I ran down the stairs. I'll never forget. I'm like, Mom, I shaved my eyebrow off. Been filling my eyebrows in ever since. Never came back.
Whoa.
I know. Now they're tattooed on. They're microbladed, but that was dedication to the damn cause.
Oh my
I fucked up bad,
God.
but
Who were our thin eyebrow icons? You know, who were we modeling this after?
Paris Hilton?
We can blame it on Paris.
I just picked one. I don't
Sure.
know. We'll call her the.
You know who
thin
does come
eyebrow
to
queen?
mind?
Who?
Was her name like Miranda from Lizzie McGuire? I feel like she does come to mind when I think of like just perfectly black arches.
I like, don't remember. Maybe it just was like our peers.
Well, praise be to the thick eyebrows.
We're happy to have them back.
All right, Jess, what was your weekend like? Tell me about your.
It was good. I I attended a wedding as a guest, and that's always a treat as
I
a
know.
vendor, isn't it?
I don't
speak
know.
too soon.
I don't know if I've ever been to a wedding,
Wait, what?
not as a vendor.
Wait, as a guest? When's the last time
Not
you've
since
gone?
I've been a photographer.
That's you haven't been invited to a wedding since you've started photography.
That I haven't worked.
This is
no.
a huge realization. What? That's a lie. You've been to one.
I don't think so.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Holy moly.
Well, I like work them because that's my issue is like I
You
can't go
you can't sit.
unless I work them. So that's kind of what I say. Like my friend Kristen, when she got married in South Carolina, I was like,
Oh yeah.
hey, I'm going to need to work this bitch if you want me to come. Because then I get booked and it's like I can't
Can't fathom.
I can't. Well, it's my livelihood. So it's like really when you turn down, you have to be like really, I have to be really close with the friends. And I also don't have many friends.
I've got 2 friends.
I got 2 friends.
Was it Olivia Rodrigo said that in Brutal? I
Uh,
think it's Brutal.
I'm sure.
Um,
I love that you just quoted that. It
Yeah.
makes me very happy.
Of course, I've been listening
Great.
nonstop. Okay, anyway, so I attended a wedding. Sorry, Rach, you haven't experienced this bliss that is when you are used to being a vendor and you attend as a guest because you have nothing to worry about but drinking excessively and having a good time. I enjoyed
Nice.
myself. I enjoyed myself so much that I, yet again,
I went to a wedding with Josh.
I knew you
Okay.
did.
I went to a wedding with Josh. I did.
I knew you did.
I was trying to think of people in my world, but no.
No,
it was
but like
this-
friends
Yeah.
of Josh's or other people.
Yeah, that was nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, where was I? Embarrassed myself yet again by doing the WAP dance,
Which you did at your own wedding.
which I did at my own wedding, and I feel like it was a one and done there.
But you remembered it?
Of course, once you do it, it's ingrained. It's like a TikTok dance. You just know it. And it came on, and Kristen, the bride, came up to me. She just like, she knows that I know it, and I know she knows it, and she's like, dude, we're just dancing, waiting for the part, right? The one part everyone knows that the
From the top, make it drop. That's
so
so wet.
Yeah, so I mean that's when the choreography comes in, but we're dancing. She's like, I'm like, you have to do it with me. You have to do it. She's like, you better do it. I'm like, you have to do it with me. You have to do it with me. She's like, Jess, I became Catholic for this family. There's no way I could do it. You're on your own. You're on your own. And it was like right in that second was like, from the top. I'm like, I am not gonna say no. I'm stuck here alone.
Oh, I mean, the bride requested it.
If she really, I mean, I don't know if she requested that song or for me to do the dance.
for this family.
And I mean, I
I'm
was
sorry. Catholics are not the pinnacle of morality. All right.
out of respect, man.
Oh,
Out of
yeah, I
respect for
guess.
the family.
If it was too early in the night, maybe.
I mean, it was. So, I mean, I hit the WAP. I hit it hard. I mean, tits out, butt pads out, and all. I hit the splits, and I did. And did I wake up with hella anxiety in the morning because of it? Yes.
Oh,
Do I regret it? I mean,
was there video?
yes.
Did you get to grade your form? How'd it go?
Saw it and skipped right past. It was on a Snapchat, so I said, "Nope, not gonna watch it." I mean,
Why? It's so
the
funny.
reviews were good. People were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that was so fun." I was like, in the moment, I am loving it, of course, but mortified now. But
Well,
it's tradition at this point.
yeah, you got to do
Play it
it.
at your wedding. I might whip it out.
Don't learn a TikTok dance if you aren't ready to bring it out at any moment's notice.
That's fair.
Don't.
Fair enough.
Don't.
Okay. Lesson learned.
Okay, I have a story from my wedding.
Let's hear it.
We got another DJ story for you guys. And granted, this DJ was fine, normal. Like, it was so goddamn hot. It was a barn wedding with no AC. But granted, the land was beautiful, so it kind of made up for it. But it was also just like, they built the barn within the last 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Put an AC, guys. There's no reason. This is well insulated. But anyway.
It was hot, dude.
So nobody really wanted to dance, and sometimes DJs get really offended by that, but I think he was cool and new. But he did something that I will never be okay with. I wanted to die and crawl in a hole. So they did the garter toss, the bouquet toss.
Mm-hmm.
And some DJs, man, then make the girl who catches the bouquet and the guy who catches the garter, sometimes he makes them dance or take a picture.
Yeah. Oh my God, we
This
just brought this
one
up.
he made the guy put it on her leg.
No.
Genuine's My Pony. These were strangers.
Okay.
These were strangers to one another. And
my
they handled it well. The guy was actually really sweet and was like, "Is this okay?" And she was like, but I was just like, no. In what world are you like, this is funny? Because you could tell that they were like, ha ha ha, doing it to not make the whole thing more awkward.
Right.
But like, Genuine's My Pony is a very sexual song.
Provocative.
And you're going to put that on for two strangers to put a garter on a girl's leg? And she was wearing like a short dress.
Sexual tension.
And she was like holding, because she was like, if she sat down, she was like, we're just out here.
God.
We're just out here.
Vag out.
Vag out to a strange man that she did not know.
Also, like, what if she didn't shave and she prefers her legs shaved? What if,
Yeah,
what if
just
she's
don't.
been sweating down there? What if she's chafing?
Yeah, just don't. Don't. It was cringeworthy. I did not enjoy it.
I saw it at a wedding where the two people knew each other, and it was very funny.
Yes.
And the bride and groom thought it was absolutely great. Like, they had planned
read
it.
the motherfucking room. Ask.
Didn't we say that's literally the DJ's number one job? Read the room.
Read the room.
I would have been like, oh, it's okay. Like, once you saw the awkwardness, but I feel like that's the disconnect with DJs, the social disconnect.
I know.
They just couldn't read it.
No.
Wow.
Granted, he was nice, but I was like,
Brave
this
souls.
is horrible. This
Brave
is horrible.
souls they were.
I know. Don't do that. So, just one thing that you might need to specify or request if that would make you want to crawl in a hole. Don't do that.
Don't do it. Just skip it. Just
skip
let your DJ know.
Put a little skip on that one.
Skip the track.
Okay.
So
next on the circuit.
And the ticket. I feel like it's on brand.
It is on brand.
For our episode today being fight languages, healthy fights versus unhealthy fights.
Yes.
To really segue into the stupid fight of the week.
Or the not so stupid fight of the week.
Or it couldn't be stupid or it's very real.
Yeah.
I'll go first because it's mine short and sweet. And it happened less than a few hours ago.
Oh, wow.
So I wake up this morning, I'm prepping for the episode. I am going through, I'm like, fight languages, cool. I check in with the good old hubster.
Yeah.
Joseph. And
we
I'm
know
like,
him.
We know him.
We love him.
And I'm like, hey, like, this is our topic for this. I'm like, I know some things that are off limits, but I also just like want to check in. Like, are you cool with like me talking about this and yada, yada, yada? And he's like, just caught him off guard. Not sure. The miscommunication was there. I'm just going to tell you that he wasn't really sure what I was asking. I really wasn't sure what I was asking either, but I was kind of just like, kind of want to bounce some ideas off of you. Like, what do you think I should bring up? Or what fights do you think like people would want to hear of that, kind of coincide with our fight languages or whatever? And he just was like, we end up on a fight that we had a few weeks ago that he thought went really well and I thought went really poorly.
Oh,
and so we just miscommunicado. bad. And all of a sudden, like, he's like, well, I thought that went really well. And I'm like, well, I didn't. Like, I don't see it that way, And he's like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, we're fighting about like our fight languages. And I'm like, I know, this is bad. And he's like, well, how did we even get here? I'm like, no idea. So it just was so funny that we just like bring up fight languages, fight about them. We're like, okay, see ya. It was fine though. It was so stupid and so silly that it was like.
Have you been feeling like there have been some more miscommunications in your life since the retrograde?
Mercury. That was 100% a miscommunicado.
Yeah.
But I have not experienced anything heavy since then, like
I've had
the retrograde.
A few people in my life, in my close sphere of people, get in crazy fights with like friends or significant others lately, and I'm just like.
And it has to do you know what I mean?
I'm just like, hey, just so you know, Mercury is in retrograde, so don't do anything rash.
Don't do anything rash.
You want to wait until after the 22nd, I believe. Take a deep breath. Mm-hmm. Do a little meditation if you still feel the same. Mm-hmm. Revisit it, but you don't want to make any big life choices.
No.
When in retrograde, okay?
Exactly.
And I don't even know if I believe in it. But we will for the purposes of this podcast.
Right.
I will be witchy for the purposes of this podcast.
We love to see that.
I want to be more witchy. I absolutely do. I just don't understand. I think there is a lot to it.
It's a lot to it. I don't want to go in half-assing it.
I know.
So I stick with just Mercury and retrograde.
We need to get a witch on our pod. If you are a witch, please message.
Feel free to join in because we need your insight.
Okay. So my fight of the week is it is a weird fight that Josh and I have been having, and it's like he's been weirdly poking fun. But this area that he's been poking fun in is a no-go zone for me. It is triggering me from my ex, a lot of things, and it's something that he was seemingly okay with, and also something that he doesn't need to have an opinion on, which is my fashion sense.
I knew it was going to be that. 'Cause you brought this up before.
Yeah, so I brought this up before, but he's made comments about these white capris, cream capris that I bought, which I'm sorry. You know when you buy an article of clothing and you're like, these are cute, and then you see a picture of yourself and you're like, ooh. Opposite, though. I bought them and I was like, I don't know if these are cute. But then I saw a picture of me many times from behind and I was like, I am hot.
They're
I
fire.
look great.
I know
look
exactly.
Great in
You
these
wore
pants.
these to the open house.
I wore them to the open house.
Fire flames.
I look great in those pants. And he just doesn't like them. And I'm like, okay.
Is this another toad hat situation? Are we bringing this full circle for episode 2?
Oh my God. Yes, the toad hat is where this started.
Yeah, it's not a new, like you said, it's a reoccurring fight.
This is why the podcasts are important because, oh my God, this all started with the toad hat. I can't wait to bring this up to him. But so we are getting ready for bed, and I had like done, I don't know, I was like picking out clothes for that day, and I had put those pants on the bed. I didn't end up wearing them, but they were still on the bed. And I'm like letting Barley outside. And Josh like comes into like our little living room space, and I am going to take photos of his office. I'm going to do those headshots for his whole office. And he comes in and he says, hey, can I ask you just one favor?
No, he didn't.
He said, don't wear the white pants.
Does he not want his work to see your fat, juicy ass looking good?
No, because he likes that. Like, he likes having a hot girlfriend. That is not something that is in his mind.
I can't believe him.
And, oh, Jess, my back was turned to him.
Oh, God.
And I completely, it's like I get the hot.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh.
You just
no.
see red.
I see red. I absolutely see red. And in my head, I am a grade A psychopath. I am calculating all the things I need to say, all the way I need to say them, how
in
I'm
a not nice way, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, a ripping of a new one. But then he tries to backtrack and be like, it's a joke, like I'm just joking, like we made that joke with Jess and Joe and Kat and David the other day, and blah blah blah.
Is it a joke?
I said, Josh, they're white fucking capris. There's no opinion to be had on these pants. There's no, like, you don't need. And he was just, then he like shuts down and he's like, we're going to get into these. And so like these fight languages, Josh does this like deflection thing. And he'll start to shut down, but then he'll just throw it back at you. And he started gaslighting me. And I was like, no, this isn't how we talk to one another. This isn't how we communicate. But he was like, you make comments on what I wear all the time. I said, no, I don't. Please. I was like, name one time I have. I am a bisexual woman dating a straight-edged white gamer boy, okay? That is his athletic. Yes, he is so chug, and he knows it, and he loves it. And I think a lot of his insecurity about some of the things that I wear is that, like, they aren't straight girl clothes, and that's something that we can talk about, like, more, is, like, one of his insecurities is, I think in his mind, he's like, I don't just have to worry about men. I have to worry about women too. And I'm like, fidelity is fidelity. Like, that's not how this works. It doesn't matter, like, how many people I could be interested in. Like, I choose you. So I think it's something to do with that. But it was like, we were just fighting and like laying in bed. And I was like, it's hurtful when you make remarks on what I wear, especially when you've told me that you don't want to do that. That you don't think that it's important, that you love me for me, that like he has had these realizations before, but he just keeps like, he comes back to them.
I just want to give you a That was such a good job of communicating.
Oh,
I am not new to
I'm not new to this, but
No, but seriously, that was great though. I mean, I feel like that obviously was after the fact, which is fine because
Yeah.
you guys had time to digest it and think of it, but that's huge. That's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that struck something different in him. That
Well,
he was like, okay, well, I'm sorry I was poking fun, but I can learn a lot from this too, is because all I do is poke fun at Joe. It's
Yeah.
literally my love language. Like I do it with everyone, but I
Yeah.
feel like
well, it's not a love language if they don't receive it that way.
right.
So like we eventually got to where he just kind of like let down the defensiveness and the trying to back up what he was saying, and like he just was like, I don't know how to fight. Like he grew up with like very toxic, like explosive arguments in his home, broken plates, like not good. I think he talked about that a little bit on our podcast, like just like there was a lot of abuse situations and toxic, and so he has never had this like example of like, how do I have like a healthy and productive conversation with someone when I feel attacked? Because like if you do something shitty to someone, you have to own it, regardless if you love them, regardless if you didn't mean it that way. Like you have to absorb it and say like, oh, I hurt a person that I love. And Josh is very uncomfortable with that. He's very uncomfortable with hurting people. But in the same way, like he will dig into, I didn't mean it that way, you're taking it the wrong way. Like, and it's this like cycle. And I think when I have a degree in conflict management, what I wanted to do before I got into photography was be a marriage and family therapist, which is funny because I ended up getting divorced and had no idea what I was doing at the time. But
the
irony for me. But I do find interpersonal communication between human beings very interesting, and I try to be able to implement those. But it is funny whenever you get in an argument, like my first instinct is like, I'm going to rip him a new one.
Well, you're still you. I feel like every therapist or psychiatrist out there, like they don't go like, okay, I'm gonna learn,
Yeah,
you're still you.
Yeah.
And I think you'd be like a robot if you didn't. Just because you know more about something doesn't mean that you implement it during the right times.
Oh, right.
That would be annoying.
Yeah. And
in my opinion,
something that I find, my therapist says I'm very empathetic, which I think is funny because Laura, my sister, and other people have said I'm not empathetic. So it's really interesting for me to like, but I have empathy with boundaries. And so like I put myself first. And so I set boundaries with other people, and I let myself feel what they're feeling when it is convenient for me. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Boundaries are good things. So we're going to go with it as thumbs up. But I have to like take a deep breath and be like, okay, what is Josh feeling in this moment and like he feels cornered, and that's really triggering for him. Him commenting on my clothes is very triggering for me because it is one skosh away from commenting on my body, which is something my ex did. And so it's like, I don't need that energy. And I think it is also hard. Something that I have to come to this is like when Josh and I first started dating, he was like the ultimate hype man. And we're further in this relationship, and I know that he loves me, but it isn't as hype as it once was.
And I feel like that's common. Like I was talking to a friend too. It's like things are different from when the start of the relationship.
Yeah.
And although that's okay, like we're seeing true colors. Like we're fighting more, like that's when true colors truly shine. You're out of the honeymoon stage. I know we've talked about this previously in the podcast, but things change, and also like you're growing with that person, things in their life has changed too. Like,
yes,
they can rely on you for the vulnerability, for the mean comments, because they're taking shit out on you at the same time. Like, that's natural as well. But how you deal with that, is important.
Yeah. So I thought that would be a good intro into we are talking about fight languages and how to see, I don't know, see if you're having healthy or unhealthy fights. Be able to differentiate between those things.
This is also one of I was kind of researching it, and I'm just like, it's so subjective. It is. You just like try to relate and you're like, oh, I can relate with this. But it's like during that fight, I was dealing with all of this. And, you know, so there's just like, there is no right or wrong. And like fights are not black and white by any means. But just like learning how you fight and recognizing that and trying to get on the same page, I think is important to dive into.
I want to know. So for you, if you and Joe are having like a medium serious fight, right? Something that
Mead-sear,
you know, not something that's going to cause a total breakdown, but something that's like maybe you need, it's not just a 30-minute talk it through.
Yeah.
It's what does your ideal process look like on your end? Like, so, what do you feel like you need?
It's tough. It's something I'm learning and navigating with Joe. It's something different than I've had in previous relationships. I think that I avoid it at first. Like if something is coming up, like I am very much in the way that I was raised, gonna sit on it. I'm gonna sit on it and I'm gonna bring it up at a weird time. It sucks so bad because I hated when it was done to me as a kid, and I'm finding like I don't like that. Like that causes a lot of anxiety for Joe because
that's manipulation, and that's manipulation that was normalized for you at a young age.
Yeah,
it's catching people off guard, and
but that's like, it's so hard because like, how do you hold the other party accountable? Because like they had to process it within their own time. And like, you're like, I can't rush that for you, you know, and how you wanted to process it is on your own time. And how you came up to me might seem, you know, a little off, but whatever. But no, I feel like communication is hard when we're fighting, to be honest. It's really tough. I feel like one of us is trying to say how they're feeling and it comes off really harsh. And I'm trying to validate but also like kind of process it in my own time, and that becomes like a really bad circle for a long time.
I think like tips that, you know, I've heard, and like I mean I've been through marriage counseling, so like I have a very limited idea of it, but like also being on different therapy TikToks and things is like when you're having an argument, being able to in the moment, because that is the key. If you guys are, maybe you're having a heated argument, but you can have a conversation. There's arguments where you're yelling and those are not, but like when you're having a heated conversation, being able to pause and be like, okay, you just said this. I'm translating it as this. I don't know if you meant it that way, but that makes me feel this way. And giving your partner the chance to be like, oh, you heard this. I meant it this. I'm sorry that it made you feel that way, but this is what I want you to understand. And then it's a lot of because if you have a whole conversation with someone and you translate something as they think you're lazy, and you then have this inward like resentment or feeling like they think I'm lazy, they're never going to appreciate me, and you're holding on to that, that's then the next argument you have. You're going into it with, they already think this about me. They already believe this. And it's this like never ending cycle of suppression and then over emotion, which is one of the fight languages that I read about in the thought catalog, which is that credible? We don't know, but
we're taking it.
We're taking it and we're making it credible.
Right. So you're welcome.
With our semi-solicited advice.
No, I will say that I suck at fighting. I'm terrible at it. It intimidates the hell out of me. Fighting is something that Joe finds very normal, which is
a lawyer.
So it is something, and not that like fighting is his job, but like arguments are his job, and he's good at it and he's direct, and I need some time. I do. I am a walk away type of person, or when I feel things are getting heated and I feel like I can't match it, or, you know, I'm getting overwhelmed, I'm like, I'll walk away. I always step outside. Or if I feel like Joe is getting heated, I give him warnings like, hey, like, I feel like you're getting there. I don't like where this is going. Like, and he doesn't take the break.
Yeah.
I feel like it's another autism tactic, behavioral management. But yeah, that's when things start to get heated. But I am really intimidated by them. I'm not good at them. I will avoid conflict at all costs, and that's just me personally. So this stuff is good for me, like, to dive into in
Mm-hmm.
our arguments, because
Yeah, I mean, Josh is
not
the
good
same
at it.
way. He definitely, because when he avoids them because he knows that he doesn't have like the skills to accurately like I mean, we had a conversation the other day. He was stressed out about a specific situation, and he was like, he just like went after me in this like, I feel like you don't appreciate XYZ blah blah blah. And I was like, what in what instance have I ever given you those feelings? Because that's really serious that you feel that way, and I want to know. But really it was just like, you know, taking digs because he was stressed out and he was taking it out on me. You're just readjusting.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know if we were doing a pee break or not.
No.
So
Just getting comfy.
I think, well, one, I also think it's good that you and Joe argue differently, because if you didn't, like, if someone like me and Joe were together, no, because it would be like two lawyers trying to have a conversation. And when people approach it from the same exact place, it's either great and you get it, or it's like, I'm going to stand on this hill and you're going to stand on that hill. And I mean, I know for me, like with my ex, it was like that. It was like that, or I was doing a lot of suppressing. I was like, the constant thought, which is really sad for me to like say and know that I said to myself for 6 years, was the constant thought, like the reoccurring track in my head was, what you want doesn't matter, what you want doesn't matter, what you want doesn't matter. So if I felt hurt, if I felt upset, if I felt betrayed, if I felt not cared for, I wouldn't even begin to have a conversation with my ex. It was just, what you want doesn't matter, Rachel. What you want doesn't matter. And I believed that, like in my spirit, I believed that so deeply. And it was a lie. It was a lie that I used and he used to keep me in a box. And that isn't love. That isn't communication.
No.
That isn't conflict resolution. That is suppressing your own emotions to keep someone else comfortable, which is manipulative and toxic.
Yeah.
And now that I am in a happy and healthy relationship, conflict is a part of life.
Yeah.
It is a part of spending your life with someone else forever.
I feel like it's easy to get the suppression and the pick and choose your battles mindset kind of confused, where you're like, conflict is going to have, this one isn't as important. You know what I mean? But it's like, when you know, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like deep down, if you feel like your worth is not valuable,
right,
then we have some problems. But I just don't want to get those mixed up.
Yeah. And what you want does matter. What you want in your life and in your relationship and the hopes you have matter. If you are in a relationship where that is in question, take a peek. Take a peek. Take a peek, because you deserve like the world. You deserve unfiltered conversation and happiness. And if you can't have that, like, there are ways to work through that, you know, like, I mean, all of us, like Jess and Joe and me and Josh, are in therapy to work on ourselves. And then, so we're at a place where we can work with each other, because the shit does not come naturally. We are all carrying our own trauma and weird conflict resolution from our parents, who had no idea what they were doing. We're doing the best that they could at the time. But like, all of those like habits that we formed that weren't helpful to us as kids are following us into adulthood and into these relationships.
And now we're taking a peek.
Now we're taking a peek,
And we're doing the work.
Yeah.
Because this is something we want to last.
Yes, exactly. That's what we all want. And I think as long as we're growing together and wholeheartedly choosing each other, that's the point. of all relationships, whether that's a romantic partner or a friendship or a relationship with a parent. Like,
I feel like maybe I was just like a child and not really paying attention, but I just feel like everyone painted the picture of marriage being really easy and really fun. And now that I'm adult and, you know, newly married and, you know, my sister's married and everyone giving me some, you know, real honest feedback on it. And they're like, no, dude, whoever fucking said that was a lie. Whoever sold you that dream was, was lying to you. And not that it's terrible. I don't mean that, but I mean, like, it does require a lot of work. Yeah.
Like it doesn't change. In a way, it changes things, but it doesn't change anything. Like, you are still you and they are still them, and you are still two imperfect humans entering into a lifelong contract with each other. That shit is not cookie cutter or easy. And there's no...
And it's never going to get easier because things add on to your mix, right? Add into the bowl, you know, the pot, the kids, the family, the, you know, the in-laws. Life happens, you know, deaths in the family, job losses, all of that shit. It's not going to make anything easier. So you have to learn to work at that really hard shit together in the best way possible.
Right.
Dope.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I know we already entered the meat.
We entered the meat, and we want to get into some more specifics.
Yep. Okay, really getting into the meat.
The meat.
The beat the meat part.
The thought catalog review.
Right.
Retelling.
But I feel like it's accurate enough that
it's
it's relatable, and I hope you guys, you know, find this helpful.
Yes. Okay, so one fight language, number one, I don't know. One on the list.
One on the thought catalog list.
Is deflection. So becoming completely closed off to any thought or feeling that isn't in their own best interest. At its most toxic, this can lead to name calling, gaslighting or getting aggressive. And this fight language also comes with, like, you kind of got a fragile ego a bit.
Yeah.
I would say that Josh is more of a deflectioner.
I mean, that was a true deflection in the clothes incident. It was just a joke. Like, why would you take it like that?
Yeah, why would you take it like that?
Or like,
right. And I mean, again, it's like, I understand where that comes from. I understand it comes from, like, this not feeling safe, not feeling it all stems back from safety. He doesn't.
It's a defense mechanism.
I'm thinking
that Joe does this off rip and then catches it really quick in the same sentence enough to be like, oh wait, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's easy for us to do that immediately to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
When someone's coming at you from left field, of course it's your natural instinct to be like, well, no, you know.
Yeah. And I think I was just talking to Jerry about this. I went, and she was having a shitty day yesterday, so I just went down and hung out with her and the kids. And we were talking about, like, what we were going to talk about today, and we were talking about, like, that whole idea of, like, getting defensive. Like, well, they just get so defensive. And it's like, that's such a fucking normal thing to be. It's not, like, a negative thing. Like, don't throw this, like, hey, you're getting real defensive. Oh, okay. It's like, hey, I'm feeling you're putting up a wall right now. If you need to take a minute for us to have a productive conversation, let's do that. Because we're all just trying to protect ourselves. Like, that's what our bodies are built for and our minds are built for, is just, like, protecting, you know? And I know, like, when I have more physical reactions than I do emotional reactions. Mm-hmm. So, like, when I get angry, it's like I will start to shake, or I will start to, like, have a ringing in my ears. And it's like, I'm not even, like, my brain isn't even processing.
It's like a physiological response.
Yeah, I have way more physiological responses. And even, like, nervousness is a big one. I don't really feel like my head isn't, like, nervous, but, like, I can tell my body is. Yeah. And that's what's really weird.
It is a weird thing about you, Rach. I remember the first wedding I ever shot with her, I was a nervous wreck. I was like, I didn't know, you know, and I know that Rach has been doing this for a few years, but I was like, we were pulling up to that girls getting ready house, and I was like, do you get nervous? She's like, nah. I was just like, that is not a thing with you. Like, even if you were, like, you probably wouldn't process it until later, or like your body would show it. But it was for the longest time, I was like, this girl just isn't isn't nervous about anything.
Well, a big example of this was when I got interviewed on Ladies and Tangents months ago, and I was talking about like body image, and I think I was nervous. Like Jerry and Sierra's podcast had just blown up, and I was like, oh my God. I wanted to do really well. I was talking about a subject that is obviously very personal to me and very important to me. And I was just like, I just blacked out. Like, I remember, like, I totally disassociated. And after it, I just started crying. And it was like I started feeling everything I should have felt
in the moment.
Yeah, before. You know, it's like I should have processed my feelings, or like I felt a lot of pressure. I felt all these things. And then it was like I started feeling them after the fact. And I was like, this isn't fucking helpful, because if I felt it before, I would have been able to prepare better.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think that's just like trauma and like my own personal issues that I've had my entire life. But it really freaked me out. Yeah. Like Josh really had to like console me, because I was like, I felt like I was a broken human being. But the episode did go well. So
in retrospect,
it was we were happy about that.
Good.
Yeah. So deflection, be aware of it. We have, second on the list is suppression, which then leads to overexpression. And I feel like a lot of like probably women specifically, will relate to this. This is also kind of like suppression or avoidant. Having a meltdown after an extended period of time of suppressing emotions. They believe their feelings are not going to be heard or valued. So like that's the thing. If like you're suppressing, you're like, it doesn't matter. What I want doesn't matter. What I want doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. I'll get over it. If I just give it time, I'll be fine. Like that whole thought process. But at its most toxic, suppressing leads to the exploding and then getting it swept under the rug, which I can see like that a lot of. I don't know. I feel like I have friends whose like moms have done this for a long time, where it's like they suppress all of their emotions, explode, and then their kids are just like, and mom's okay now, you know?
Right.
Which is,
and I feel like that's like I said, perfect example of like picking and choose your battles, or like people just being like, oh, it's not worth it, or you know, this could lead to a bigger fight that I don't want to have, that I don't have the energy to have.
Right.
I have a list that kind of coincides with Rachel's thought catalog. Mine's by a marriage therapist called Gottman, and we kind of related these two into being
the Gottman Institute.
The Institute. The conflict resolution types, basically. And another one is avoidant. And we kind of put these two together. And the avoidant is trying to solve problems alone, wait for things to cool down or blow over. And I do feel like I resonate with it's my delivery. It's my fear of conflict is so high that I have to like think it through in a way to deliver my problem to him instead of like, and that in a way that's okay. It's something I've taken up in therapy, that it's, I do have to think about how it made me feel, how he made me feel before I say it. I don't know why my processing is a little slower in that, I guess. And it's something that I've learned to really specify what I'm feeling. And that was a feelings wheel. And I know this sounds so fucking second grade, but it was so game changing for me, because a feelings wheel is you can go like, okay, this is how I feel angry. But within angry, there's like these subdivisions, which are like frustrated, annoyed, envious, or mad, which really kind of breaks things down to be like, I feel angry, right? And you go to angry, be like, no, I actually feel really frustrated when you do this, or because, and that was just such a game changer for me. It was like, I could really pinpoint how I'm feeling. The more specific you are, the more your message will be conveyed and
it's like
understood.
Your surface level emotions are on the outside, and then it's like gets it more specific.
Yeah,
right?
and it's like I needed time to like process that, and like yes, I could be avoidant in that like I needed to understand, like, oh, I'm feeling mad. I am feeling angry, but like I needed time to really process that. Like I feel embarrassed. I'm feeling embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like just the more specific you are.
I think with avoidant conflict structures, and I think with other ones, if you're avoiding conflict, is it like, are you avoiding conflict or are you avoiding vulnerability? I think that is an important thing. Are you avoiding the fight or are you avoiding the feelings that come with the fight? Are you avoiding the looking into yourself and having them see who you are and see the hurt, or see like, what are you avoiding there? Because I think some people avoid raised voices or like heightened emotions, but some people are avoiding talking about their feelings. Saying, I feel like hurt.
I feel like it's a good mix of both. For me, I feel like fights in my past have never gone well. In past relationships, fights meant like breaking up for 2 weeks on end. Like my high school relationship looked like a lot like that. Yeah. So it was like 100% avoiding it. And now it's like, I know that's not what's going to happen at the end of it. Like I do trust and believe that, but I feel like some part of me is still just kind of wired like that behavior. way. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Next one up.
Third on the list.
On a docket.
Dominating. So people who dominate will hear another person's feelings, but they won't actually listen to them. These people can lack empathy at its most toxic. Will try to find a roundabout way to convince the partner that their emotions are incorrect. I feel like
who's this?
This is me. This is where I can go really quickly. But I do feel like I backtrack. But like my gut instinct is like when Josh made the comment about the pants, I'm making a fucking plan in my head. I'm calculating. I'm getting sources out. I'm thinking it in my head. I'm ready to go to court. And
courtroom brown walls. And all.
Yeah. I am ready to go. And then it's like, I feel like once maybe I tear into him and I see like, okay, then I see him get defensive and I see his hurt and I'm like, okay, in order for us to get through this, because we don't want to go to bed angry, we don't want to be angry with each other, we need to get to the meat of it. And the meat of it is, I do not need you to comment on what I wear. I'm also very curious as to why you don't like these pants. I'd like to get to the bottom of that. But really though, I want to know and understand where you're coming from, but also at the same time, it doesn't matter because you not liking a pair of pants isn't going to stop me from wearing them. And it's this whole process. And I think for Josh, it's going to take more than just like our relationship to make him feel safe. Like that's why he's in therapy. That's why we want to go to therapy together, because at the bottom line, he does not feel safe. And that's not a me problem. That's not a reflection on me. That's just how he exists. And he's also a 6, so it's just the constant state of anxiety for him, of worry. And I think there are a lot of things where like, why us saying these things and doing these things, like we don't want you to become codependent on your partner in the fact that like you're gonna try to regulate things for them. So like with Josh, it's like I'm not gonna go out of my way to make him feel safe, heard, and because I do that enough in our day-to-day. If he doesn't feel this way, it's like he needs to do the work and he needs to be able to verbalize things to me. And there are some problems and conflicts you have where it's a them problem, not a you problem. Like they might want you to feel a certain way, but it's like it seems to be how you feel, and that's a you problem. Like I'm not responsible for that. And
that's a huge part in a relationship. And it takes a while to get there sometimes. I feel like for some couples, because it's a hard thing to say and it's a hard thing to realize. It's a hard pill to swallow. But once you do, it's like we're working on excellence on our own. And you know what I mean? Like to become a better person for that person. Right. You know? And the sooner you realize that, the better.
Yes.
The more smooth things will go.
Right. Okay. And now we're hitting the upswing here. We're going into healthy fight styles, I guess. So there's mediating. So a mediator has one objection to reach a compromise. In this fight style, egos are not easily bruised. A person can listen to an argument and then respond with their own. I weirdly am a trained mediator, so I do feel like this is where I go. So like I start on the defense with the what do we call this? Dominating. But then I'm like quickly like, okay, we need to reach an agreement. We need to reach an understanding and good vibes again. Mediating is the fight language to strive for if you and your partner started off with different languages. And this is kind of how you learn to communicate. And I think also like this is fucking exhausting, right? Mm-hmm. Like arguing it is exhausting and communicating is exhausting. And it feels like they should just get it, right? Like why can't we just communicate? Why can't we just talk? It's like because we're different people with different experiences and we need to understand each other. And that can be this like, I think a lot of the times couples are just waiting for, I don't know if people think like with enough time things will settle in, maybe we'll just get used to it. But like that doesn't work. Like if you and your person, every time you get into a fight, it goes nowhere.
Yeah,
you really have to work on it.
I feel like the sooner go off the hinges for a minute. Go get defensive, deflect, dominate. I feel like a lot of people will do that at first because it's a natural reaction. But the sooner you get to, okay, common ground, well, how do we get to it?
Yeah.
Is like, and the more that you guys can validate, when we get to a point of validating, we're on the upswing, right? It's just like how conflicts go, Yeah. And there's always, and even in behavior, it's like you burst out, right? It's when it happens, it's the worst. But it's like how you get down to baseline, and that baseline has to look like something we agree on. And even if you don't agree on it and you just validate the other's emotions, like it's a win.
And it's important to say, like, with this mediating, there's not one mediator. Like, you both need to get there. Like, if you're with someone and you feel like you're doing the work and, like, they are still flying off the handle and throwing shit and, like, can't get their emotions in check and you are left trying to, like, pick up the pieces, like, that's really toxic and unhealthy. Like, if you're with someone that it's like, man, we really handle this shit differently. We need to understand. Like you and Joe. Like, you and Joe really want to understand each other and have productive arguments.
Yeah, it's something we work on. It's something that is difficult for us, and it's just like, where do we go? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like maybe like the walking away is something that's new that we're trying, and until things calm down, it's like I can't handle the burst. I can't handle the high, the intense emotion. So I need to like, let's calm down on our own and then come back together for the compromise. But sometimes it's not always going to be like that. And that's just something we're trying to navigate. But that's normal. Work on it. If the want to work there is there, then that's good.
Right. And our final one is free communicators. So this is basically the people that don't get into the argument in the first place. It's your ultimate goal, where both people feel comfortable enough to express how they're feeling in the moment they're feeling it.
Or that could be, that doesn't mean that they're not fighting. That could lead to a...
But it means, like, if you leave the dishes in the sink and the partner comes home and they get annoyed.
Yeah.
They don't suppress that. They say, hey, can we get these dishes done real quick before we watch TV? It's staying on top of your emotions and how you feel so they don't bottle up and so you don't explode later. And I think a big red flag for relationships is when you're getting into the same fight over and over again. That's when I decided to leave, specifically my marriage, because it was like, we've talked about this for 4 years. If it's not gotten fixed,
and no one's coming to an agreement.
No, we're not coming to an agreement. And I think it's so important. Like, if you are having these same arguments over and over again and you're going nowhere, get a professional's help if both people are open to it. But if they're not,
take a pick. I just feel like, all in all, in fights, it's your ability to communicate. And in this article they do talk about your same style being aligned.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. Now I'm thinking back on it, and it's like, can you have the same style? Like, they're different people. I guess it's just reaching that agreement and reaching the ability to communicate, you know, effectively and in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And that seems pretty straightforward, but I feel like it's easier said than done.
Yeah. I think when you're in an argument, it's so important to recognize and validate how the other person's feeling and being able to communicate how you're feeling. It's important that you feel safe and heard, and you deserve to be with someone that wants to hear you and wants to understand you and work with you, because you shouldn't be having the same fights over and over again. You should feel like you're growing together. You should feel like you're moving forward and getting past arguments instead of circling back.
Right.
Because that's fucking exhausting.
That is.
Like, we're talking about something that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
No, sir.
I feel like that's the other person, like, not understanding the other partner's, you know, needs in the relationship and wants and how they communicate. I mean, that kind of goes with, they kind of go hand in hand with love languages. It's like understanding the other person's needs and how they give and receive love. Like, start there.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that won't end in fights, but I mean, it kind of helps a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't know, when I talk about love languages, I don't talk about this like stereotypical, like the weird Christian book. I talk about like speaking love to your partner genuinely. I don't think we all have one. I think, I don't believe that at all. Even when I read that book, I was like, I feel
at different times
from different people, you know, like I feel love for my dad when he gifts me things because that's the way that he knows. It's not like he gives me something and I'm like, fuck you, dad. But like if Josh gives me something, I'm not going to feel like it's very different, right?
And it could be something
and
you
it's their
gravitate.
intentions.
Yeah.
Like that's why we haven't done a love languages episode, because I'm like, it's just loving people well. And that there's not a formula for that.
And what that looks like kind of differs. And I do think that you can like lean more towards one, like someone
for sure.
like someone who does need words of affirmation being one of them. It's like, that's heavy on the front.
Yeah.
You know, like people definitely need that. Like, but I think you need a mix of all that shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, how can you just want words but never want quality time?
Right.
Like,
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
No, I don't
we didn't dive too heavy into that. And I don't think we will, just because it's pretty, like, everything is really subjective with relationships. So it's just really hard to say like a one size fits all for one couple or one person. And it's just tough. So
because I think people get really into things like love languages and stuff. And I mean, we get really into Enneagrams, right? Like
just all personality people, man.
Yeah, we love it. But also at the same breath, it's like, you need more than that. Like, go to fucking therapy. Find out why you personally are handling things the way you're handling them, because
that's what's so cool about therapy. It's like not one size fits all. It's literally someone dissecting you as you and all of your personal experiences and kind of helping you in your, you know, in your relationship if you're finding it more difficult.
And I mean, Jess and I aren't sponsored, but I do use BetterHelp. That's
sponsor us, BetterHelp.
Somebody sponsor us. But in the meantime, I think I can send people a free week or free 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So DM us and I will send you a link if you want to try it out. Keep in mind, it's an investment in your future. I think that it's costs about as much as like a nice gym membership, you know, like the unlimited yoga memberships and stuff. And you're prioritizing your mental health. Okay.
Which is what we're here to do as your therapy police.
As your therapy police.
As your fellow GDI members.
Yes. Get the fuck on it. Okay. We want you to be happy and healthy. And you have issues. I don't know you, but I know you do. And we all have parents, so we all have issues. That's my stance.
Love it.
So, yeah, we hope that this was helpful. If you have a fight or something that you want to send us, we'd love to read them. I think that would be a good follow-up episode to this.
And give some semi-solicited. We changed it to unsolicited to semi-solicited because you guys have really came through.
You've solicited us
into giving you advice. Why you take it, not sure why yet, but we are thankful.
We are so thankful. That being said, as always, Like, share, post your favorite episode on your stories and tag us this week.
Yeah. It's important that you share episodes and, you know,
share the episodes,
get the word out there.
Yeah, that you like and that you want your friends and family to hear about. So, yeah, is that all we got?
Passive aggressively send this to your partner.
Yes.
And be like, hey, we need to get on this. We need to figure this shit out.
And if they don't want to figure it out, you're a dud.
Take a peek.
Dudley Dursley, baby.
We freaking love you guys. Thank you again for tuning in. This is For Better and Worse.
We out.
Bye.